This is Never Tell Me the Odds.
It sure is. There's odds, and we're not telling.
Woo! Andrew, I love that you're so dressed as the Riddler.
I am, because it's November 1st today, and that means it's All Hallows Morn, and that's the morn of the Hallows, so keep it up.
All of this is not the second time we've been recording this.
No.
No, not at all. Are our mics on? Mine is on. I can hear myself. It's very low.
Hey.
Here we go. Hold on. Now people can hear me. This is a disaster. This is Never Tell Me the Odds, your Patreon exclusive show. Thank you all for your support. Tell your friends.
And your enemies. Tell everybody.
Tell them all. We are joined now with Patreon's own Geof Wilson. Geof, thanks for joining us on Never Tell Me the Odds.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Thank you for being here. You had so much fun on the live stream on Monday that you had to come back, and you told Andrew to dress the same.
That's right. Yeah.
I enjoyed looking at it so much and being reminded of the Riddler so fondly.
I actually was looking down the entire time, so I really didn't get to see you guys on screen that often. But I don't know how you put up with what you saw on this screen, or anybody watching for that matter. It's just, I'm looking at Andrew right now, and it's not too far removed from what he normally wears on a Saturday night, but it's a little bit much.
I'm actually dressed as the 7th Knight of Ren, Bashful.
Seventh. Confirmed number. 7th Night of Ren.
7th Night of Ren. We know that Luke had 7 students now. All right. So this is Never Tell Me the Odds. We give some odds, and we're all going to say what we think of those odds. We're going to have 4 odds as normal today. Geof will have one. Andrew will have one. I'll have one. And then we will have one that we're going to call the throwaway odd because it's not that good. So the first odd, the odds of Nora Wexley appearing in The Rise of Skywalker. Will Snap's mom appear in The Rise of Skywalker? Andrew, before you give an odd, why don't you tell everybody who Nora Wexley is, because I don't think she's that popular.
She is Snap Wexley's mother, and last we heard, Wedge Antilles' girlfriend.
Yes.
And we know Wedge is showing up, so maybe there's a scene where they'll be like, let's go to battle, and she'll be like, I'm right alongside you, honey. And he's like, oh boy, I'm Wedge. I was going to make a Wedge quote, but I just realized he doesn't really have any good ones. And then they fly off in the sunset together. Yeah.
I like it. Geof, what are the odds?
Since we now know, confirmed spoiler for anyone who hasn't heard, Wedge Antilles is confirmed to be in this film. So now that we know that, I believe I'm going to go 60% that she is going to be in this film alongside Wedge. Off into the sunset, as you just said. I like that.
I like it as well, but I'm gonna go 53% because I think there's a possibility that maybe she passed away in between Aftermath and The Rise of Skywalker, and that'll give Snap something to deal with, and it'll give Wedge something to deal with as well. Apparently Wedge was a farmer since we last saw him, and he was living with Nora. I don't know what's going on, so I'm gonna go 50. Did I say 53%? I gotta go 53%. Yeah, I would love to see her on the screen. Has J.J. Abrams read Aftermath? There's that's really my question.
That's your question.
Andrew's scaring his camera so much that he's not on screen anymore.
That's right, booga booga. Sorry, camera. I'm going to say 18%. I don't think it's very likely. I think Wedge himself is going to be a glorified cameo where somebody's like, good shot, Wedge. And they just cut to him, and he's like, oh, boy, I'm Wedge.
Do you think Wedge is only like Wedge comes in when all those ships, we see that shot of the Falcon and then every ship that's ever been in Star Wars is there? You think Wedge is going to be in one of those random ships being like, I'm here! Look at the size of that thing.
Yeah, there's the quote. There's one. Yeah, I think that's the extent of Wedge. So I think Nora's a lot less likely.
All right. Andrew, what's your odd?
Okay, my odd's going to be kind of weird because it's time traveling here. This is going to air on November 1st, but we're not recording this November 1st. My odd has to do with something that's happening fourth dimensionally. Ooh. So there's a final trailer coming out for Mandalorian before all this.
It's so good.
It's amazing. We all totally watched it already. My odd is, based on this trailer that we've, quote, seen, will the trailer show us a character who is known to Star Wars fans from outside The Mandalorian?
Look, The Mandalorian's going to start. The episode 1 has that spoiler in it I told you earlier today. I think that I read, I think it was Entertainment Weekly or someone reported that. The Mandalorian is going to start with a huge Star Wars spoiler in regards to Star Wars. And I think that is going to be, the best is when this trailer drops so we all sound like idiots. I think we're going to learn that Boba Fett's dead. That's what I think we're going to learn.
Okay.
What was your question?
What are the what are the odds that the trailer is going to show us a character that we know from outside the Mandalorian?
Ooh, I'm gonna go.
It could be like a small character like Bosk, like just somebody that we know from outside the show.
The good news is I'm editing this, so I have the opportunity to come back up here and re-record my answer anytime I want after I watch this.
Like the new recording, you have like a mustache, and you're like, yes, it will be Watto.
I'm looking at it is Movember, Andrew. I'm looking online right now to see if it has not dropped yet. So my guess is a half hour from the time we're recording this. I'm gonna say 37%. Jeff?
I believe since they already put out that there's a big spooky Star Wars, not spooky, but it is because it's November 1st, a big spooky Star Wars spoiler that's going to be in the first episode. So I do think there will be a very subtle callback to something that we have seen or known before. I do like the idea of Bosk or someone to that, low-level effect being in the first episode, because I feel like maybe if you're a new subscriber to Disney Plus, maybe you're more of a casual fan of Star Wars, you're watching this because, it's some new Star Wars content. Oh, it looks like Boba Fett. I'm going to check that out. Whatever. I think they might need something not to rein people in, but something that's going to call it back to the original trilogy to kind of get the thing kicked off right.
Yeah, that's fair. I have no problems if I'm wrong. I'm fine. I just don't want it to be like Luke Skywalker, come child.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine? Like Luke, Leia, come over here. But they don't know each other. No. Alternate reality. Come. I hope it's not like that.
I just want to know who's this British person who's just calling Luke and Leia willy-nilly.
He's a former Imperial.
Oh, okay. That's the right answer.
It's Gus Frings. Jeff,
Gotcha.
you're odd.
Okay. So I guess after the big Marvel trailers came out toward the end of last year, now that most of us have seen Endgame, there was some misdirection in the trailers from the actual film. Little subtle things that, they didn't want to spoil the film for the people who were watching the trailer. My odd is, what are the odds that there are, even if they're subtle, if there are any differences from the trailers that we have seen so far compared to the final cut of the movie?
Andrew, I'm going to defer to you first.
Yeah, I think it's all misdirect. Every time you see Rey in the trailer, that's actually going to be Wedge. Jumping through the jungle. Oh, boy! Look at me jump! No, let's see here. I think that there is... I'm going to go full Brock. I think it's the 50-50 chance that there's a misdirect somewhere in that trailer. I think it's small, though. I think it's something so small that they're going to need to point it out. Like, JJ's going to need to point it out in the future for us to be like, oh, wow. I think it's going to be something little.
I'm going to go 93.89. I'm going to say that. Brock and I discussed this on the last podcast. I think that line that SheVP says, "You're coming together," will be your undoing. I think that's two separate conversations. Or maybe the same one, but different points in the conversations. I think that's a misdirect. I don't think it has anything to do with them coming together. At the same time, I really do think that both of them coming together is going to be a huge plot point. But I'm contradicting myself. I think there are a lot of misdirects in that movie, in that trailer, for it, and I'm okay with that. I want misdirects. I love the Rogue One trailer that got cut from the movie because it didn't ruin any of the movie for me. So I'm okay with that. I like misdirects. Give me the misdirects, as long as they're honest misdirects and not like, Rey, your father is Bilbo, and then in the movie it's like, no, Rey, your father's not. Your father is. Like that. To me, that's where I lose it. But Jeff, what do you think?
I think when we talked about it on the live stream last week about JJ's ability to try and cover up any spoilers or any kind of plot points that have been given out through the trailer or through, you're trying to keep everything hush hush, and I feel like he's he's good at that, and he is the kind of director to want to really savor everything until you sit in the seat and watch the film beginning to end. So, I think there's a huge possibility that there's some misdirection in the trailer. Not that it's related to Marvel or anything, but I feel like that was a trend for them because this was a big film that came out, and I can't think of a bigger film than the end of the Skywalker saga. So,
absolutely,
I'm gonna go, definitely like a 95% that's gonna happen.
My final odd. The grand finale of the odds for this week, the week that started with our Halloween live stream and ended with this. The odds, Andrew, you're going first on this one. The odds of the last shot of the Rise of Skywalker, of the entire Skywalker saga, being Rey on Tatooine.
Wow.
And
10%.
She has a double-bladed red lightsaber because she's Dark Rey.
10%. I think that it's going to be something more either grandiose or nostalgic than just Rey chilling on a dune. I think there's something bigger at stake there.
Geof?
I think that's probably. I mean, we can argue that her watching the twin sunset could be a good finale, but like, man, I'm gonna go probably like 48%. I think that there are a lot of clever endings that they're thinking of, and like I said, there's so much you have to pack in to this film, and if JJ wants it to not only be a standalone film, but also a callback and a grand finale to the 8 films before it, I think that he's going to have to find something really, really, really awesome to do for the final shot. But like you had mentioned before, R2-D2 turning off, and I think that's a great way to end it. And how stoked were you that they were showing C-3PO in that last trailer, kind of sort of turning off, but not really. But that's kind of in the same vein as what you said. So I thought that was really cool. So like I said, it's going to be something cool. Having them do the twin sunset feels like it would be the right call, on Tatooine. So, I'll go 48%.
Yeah, I think for me, I think you ended where it all began. And yeah, you can argue it began on Naboo, it began on the Tantive 4, but it really began on Tatooine. It began when when Qui-Gon found Anakin, and it began when the droids found Luke. It really began when the droids found Luke. That's, I love the prequels. You can call it episode 1 all you want. The first Star Wars is A New Hope, right? That's Star Wars, and that's where it all began. That's where the journey really kicks off. So I think, unless it ends on the Tantive 4, which would be kind of cool, but I'm gonna go 61.3% on that, because I think you end it where it began. You end it with our new protagonist, who has a connection now with, unless it could be Kylo, but we'll talk about that another day. You end it there with her, and then you end it with the Force ghosts of Luke, Leia, I don't know who else, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, whatever. I think Anakin's gotta, just to see that this is where I struggle with it being Rey, is if she's not a Skywalker, what does that take away the weight of Anakin's purpose in the saga, and even to a degree Luke's purpose?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean,
that
would be like ending. That would be like the last shot of Endgame had Ant-Man in it. It's like Ant-Man's really important. He is an important character, but it's like he's not.
He's not.
He's not
that,
the core.
And I'm not. Yeah, and this is no disrespect to Rey or anything. This is just like, unless you somehow connect her with maybe Anakin in some level. But these are conversations for another day. I'm going to go 61.3 or 63.1. I went
think
with one of those.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm going. There's a probability. I think there's a high probability that's where it's going to end. All right, this has been this week's Never Tell Me the Odds. That's the last one, right? These things are fun to do.
Yeah.
I love doing these. We do them every week here, every Friday, because it's November 1st today. And where is the year gone? We've got 2 months left. We've got a month and 20 days to go until Skywalker will rise. Which Skywalker is rising and why are they rising are all things we're going to find out. And R2 and C-3PO's final stand is all going to go down. Because maybe it ends with the galaxy just imploding. And that's the final Iris arrow.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah, the final Iris arrow is just... boom.
And then Neil deGrasse Tyson walks out and explains the science of what just happened.
There was none! All right, Andrew, thanks for joining me. Geof, thanks so much. It was awesome to have you on this and also on the live stream. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. May the force of others be with you.
Always, I guess.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.